Hi, I'm Casey Anderson, and this is my best friend Brutus. We've been buddies since he was only this big. We spent a lot of time teaching people amazing things about bears. It's fall here in Montana, and in Yellowstone National Park, Brutus's wild cousins are eating like crazy, putting on a ton of weight for the long winter ahead. This is a critical time for bears. Today, we're gonna go into the wild to look at some different things grizzly bears like to eat, and check out how they use their size, senses, and strength to find enough food every day. And Brutus here is gonna show us some of those grizzly traits up close. Then it's your turn. You're gonna be transformed into bears just like Brutus, so you can experience what it's like to be a grizzly at mealtime. And if you want to learn the skills you need to be a naturalist like me, then you need to find the sidetracks. In this episode, Brutus and I are gonna teach you to be trackers. Remember, this is TV that you play. Get the pictures, explore the sidetracks, and give it your all when it's time to go wild, and you'll earn your Expedition Grizzly badge. Now, we've got a lot to learn about bears, so let's get to the show. Isn't that right, buddy?
It's 5 a.m. It's cold, windy, and miserable out here. I'm high above the tree line just outside of Yellowstone National Park, and I'm here to witness one of the most incredible grizzly bear behaviors and maybe one of the most incredible behaviors in the animal kingdom. This is absolutely incredible. Just below me, there's 14 grizzly bears. They have cubs, moms, big boars, all kinds.
A view like this makes it all worthwhile, no matter the cold, the wind, or the altitude. From my very first encounter, I've been fascinated by this amazing animal. The more I learned, the more I wanted to tell their story. And the little-known tale of these Yellowstone grizzlies is truly one for the ages. But my passion goes beyond observing these bears in the wild. You see, my feelings towards grizzlies are a little bit different than most people. Maybe that's because my best friend weighs in at, about 800 pounds. That's him there. He's a brown bear named Brutus, and I've raised him since birth. Let me explain how it all started. I was born in Helena, Montana in 1975, the same year the Yellowstone grizzly bear was added to the endangered species list. Growing up surrounded by the Montana wilderness, it's no surprise I quickly learned about all the local wildlife. By Montana standards, this bear was very tame. Here he is, about 5 months old. Throughout my life, I've been called the animal magnet because animals always seem to find me. But with Brutus, well, it seems like we picked one another, sort of like friends on the playground, and we've been going strong ever since. When Brutus outgrew the house, we built him a sanctuary and started attracting visitors of all ages to teach them about grizzly bear biology and conservation.
Action.
Brutus is a born performer, so we began filming him as part of our educational mission. Here he stars in a picnic raid scene in a public service video.
As you can see, we're on a movie set here demonstrating why it's so important to keep a clean camp in grizzly country.
Brutus has been a huge part of my life. He's sort of like, well, he actually was, my best man. Today, Brutus is a 6-year-old in the prime of his life. And at this point, we've been pals for so long that we've developed a unique relationship. One that means lots of interaction, playing tag, and some playful wrestling. I even get an occasional grizzly kiss. All things that you would never think about doing under ordinary circumstances. In fact, the trust and respect that allows us to be this close is simply one of a kind. In other words, do not try this at home.
What a good boy.
Bears are among the most massive and powerful animals on Earth. And luckily for me, I can show you that strength close up. Now just imagine seeing all of this in the wild. Way to go, you found the first sidetrack. On this adventure, Brutus and I are gonna teach you to be a tracker. And today, Brutus is out here hiding, but he's leaving sign behind. You might wonder why I'm hanging out by this trash. Well, this is a giant billboard of bear sign. But not just any bear, a grizzly bear, and I'll show you why right here. If you draw a straight line from each of the outside toes, that straight line will touch all the other toes. Very specifically a grizzly bear track, but not just any grizzly bear. This is Brutus. I bet he came in here, knocked the can over, smelled the garbage, thought there were some treats in there, pulled all this trash out, smashed it, and headed off somewhere out there. When you live in bear country, you gotta use bear-proof garbage cans. Now it's your turn to help me track Brutus. Do you think he went down there by the river? Or do you think he went over there by the horse corrals? What do you think? Left or right? Raise the hand that matches the side you want to choose. Yep, this trash trail is definitely headed down to the river. Brutus is probably thirsty after eating all those goodies he found in the trash can. Let's head down that way and see if we can find more sign. Wow. Judging by all these tracks, a lot of different animals have come down here to get a drink at the river. I see a coyote track right there. I see an elk track, but I see 2 different sets of bear tracks. One right here and one right here. And if I know Brutus, he walked all the way down here to get a drink at the river. So which set of those bear tracks do you think we should follow to find him? You need to raise your hand to pick a choice. That's a black bear track. You can tell because the toes arc and there's no way to draw a straight line through them. Now this track here, you can draw a straight line through them, just like on the trash can lid. So that's gotta be Brutus's. Looks like Brutus's tracks are headed off to the forest. Let's go find him. You've taken your first steps towards becoming an expert tracker. Ready to get back to the show? Now that you've met Brutus, we'll head out to Yellowstone to search for wild grizzlies. And you won't believe where we find them. It's late summer now, and I'm making my way into this remote alpine world just as the last of the snow melts. I'm hoping to spot an annual migration that plays a critical role in the life and success of the Yellowstone grizzly bear. The army cutworm moth. It arrives daily this time of year by the thousands. Each moth is loaded with valuable protein and fat, so where there are cutworm moths, there are sure to be grizzlies close behind. Wow, this is so awesome. That mountain is crawling with grizzly bears. I can see a sow with 3 cubs, 2 big boars, and a couple other individuals. Right now I can count 9 total grizzly bears. I'm right where I want to be at a safe distance, taking in a high altitude grizzly experience. Just out here in the talus is a big male grizzly. He's got a bunch of big scars on his neck and his face. More than likely from fighting with other big males in this area over prime food areas. Right now, he's really using that big hump and those big claws and those big forearms, and
and moving some big rocks in the talus fields.
It's estimated that a grizzly could eat up to 40,000 moths in one day.
You did a great job completing the snapshot earlier. Now, let's take a look at your photos. Wow, great job! Let's check out this fact. Okay, on with the show.
Okay, now that we've seen wild bears dig for moths on the talus slope, it's your turn. Use your grizzly paws like Brutus to scratch at the rocks and find moths, and eat as many as you can, like this. Tastes like peanuts. Stand up and get ready. I hope you're hungry.
Are you set? Raise your hand and we'll get going. 3, 2, 1, go! Dig out the moths from the rocks.
Okay, now use your claws to dig at the rocks and unearth the moths.
Scratch at the rocks.
To get more moths out, you gotta scratch at the rocks.
You can eat the moths before they get away. Nice work. Look at you go.
Scratch at the rocks with your paws and unearth the moths.
Get those moths. Dig out those moths.
Okay, now use your claws to dig at the rocks and unearth the moths.
Way to get after those moths. You're really working hard. Move your mouth over the moths to eat them. Time's up. Now let's see that score. No stars that time, but keep trying. Do you want to play another round or go back to the show? More show coming up.
Cutworm moths are an important food source for these bears at this time of year. Still, at only half a calorie each, a bear has to find a lot of these moths to fill up. We've got so much to learn about these bears, don't we, Brutus? Grab a seat and keep your eyes peeled for more wildlife.
My journey begins just outside the western border of Yellowstone National Park, in an area I return to every year. The long, cold winter takes its toll on every animal in Yellowstone. During 5 months of hibernation, grizzlies will lose up to 30% of their body weight. Other species, like bison, wolves, and moose, are exposed to the winter's harshest elements as they constantly search for food.
In fact, this winter's been very hard. I'm a little bit concerned about how this is going to affect the grizzly's behavior, and I'm kind of unsure what I'm going to find. This is prime springtime grizzly bear habitat in the Yellowstone ecosystem. Whether it's eating the plants, the grass, or its roots and bulbs, this semi-arid landscape is exactly where the grizzlies come for their first meals of the year. Just spotted a hump of a grizzly bear all covered with snow out here in the sagebrush a couple hundred yards away. I'm gonna move in on this bear to a safe distance. I don't want to disturb his natural behavior. Maybe he'll move in closer to me.
Okay, here we go. I found a spot downwind in the trees, and that bear is coming right in towards me.
And just to see his black contrast against the snow is just so cool. You can see his hump. He comes up and he's got snow all over his face.
He doesn't have a clue I'm here, and I'd like to keep it that way. Surprise grizzlies often charge, and he could take me out for good with a single swat of his paw. Luckily for me, this bear has got his eyes on the prize underground, and I'm able to observe him safely from a distance.
A grizzly bear has to eat almost 20,000 calories a day, no matter what the weather's doing. This guy right now, I can see the mud flying. He's digging and this mud's flying up everywhere over the snow. It's really cool. The snow's really coming down now. He's actually bulldozing his nose through the snow to smell the ground a little better.
Oh yeah, he just grabbed something and pulled it out of the ground.
It's a pretty good situation. The wind's blowing in my face. The sagebrush is kind of high, so if I keep low, he can't see me. But he is moving my direction, so I gotta really keep my eye on him. I don't want him to disappear in the sage and then all of a sudden pop up really close.
Keep on moving, buddy. Good. He's gonna walk right on by without even noticing me. That's just the way I like it.
Great job. You found the next sidetrack. Those tracks down by the river have led us to this tree. And I can tell Brutus has been here. But what do you think he was doing? Do you think he was marking his territory? Or do you think he was using this tree to groom himself?
You need to raise your hand to choose an option.
Well, that was kind of a trick question. There are a lot of theories about why bears mark trees like this. Many different bears will come to the same tree year after year, rubbing and clawing, just like Brutus did here. Scientists think that the bears are trying to communicate with each other. When they leave their scent markings, they're saying, "Hey, I'm in the area." But I've also watched Brutus rub up against trees to give himself a nice scratch and a really good back rub. Classic grooming behaviors. We're definitely hot on his trail, and I can see some evidence of which direction Brutus went. But which way should we go to find him? Do you think he went over there toward those rocks? Or do you think he went this way towards the meadow?
Raise your hand to choose an option.
I came over here by the rocks just like you said, and I don't see any sign of Brutus. But I did see some sign over that direction. Let's go check it out. This is easy to miss, but if you look right here, you can see where Brutus dug, just like those bears we watched in Yellowstone. So he's definitely moving in this direction. Let's keep tracking him.
Finding animal sign can be tricky, but you're doing great. Now let's get back to the show and find out what that wild grizzly was digging up.
Well, here's the excavation of that bear I was just watching out here in the sage, and look at this. I mean, this bear did some serious digging. They've used their nose, they've come to this area, they're smelling things under the ground, and it's really obvious what they're smelling. If you look right here, that's a rodent nest.
It looks like that bear pulled up a vole, a little rodent that burrows beneath the soil. It's a small snack for a big animal, but that's a good source of some much needed calories.
They can really get in there and really move some earth. This actually reminds me a lot of what Brutus does back home, tearing up the ground. That's what grizzly bears love.
We can't get too close to grizzlies digging in the wild, so to show you how it's done, I'm gonna give my friend Brutus a similar challenge. He's not a vole eater, but he loves salmon, a staple food source for many wild bears. Let's see what happens when we invite him in for a closer look.
So I've hid some salmon up here in the ground. You can see he's using that nose to try to find it underneath